The SRL on the NFL. Previews, predictions, and analysis covering every storyline in football every week. The SRL on the NFL. Hey everybody, welcome back to SRL on the NFL. This is episode number 7. My name is Brendan Yerkes, joined as always by Alex Vachapante. Alex, how we doing today?
We're doing great. We're ready for another week in the NFL, week 7. Let's do it.
Yeah, another week of picks down. I'm feeling good now, finally, after a nice rough start. I think we were under 500 a couple times.
Yep.
Now we think we've been pretty consistent. I had 2 good weeks in a row, so hoping to keep it going. I went 11-3 last week, actually,
Yep.
which is good. The Jets kind of sold at the end. I could have made it even better, but you were 8-6, still above 500. But I think you'll bounce back. We're having some differences the last 2 weeks. We've had a lot of differences in games, so
Definitely.
It's been very fun. We like that, though. So we'll go through last week's games, week 6, to start things off. The 49ers and the Seahawks were on Thursday Night Football. We had a disagreement here. I had the 49ers, and they actually pulled away. They won 36-24, and definitely was a bounce-back situation for both teams. The Seahawks now quickly go from 3-0 to 3-3, but I think for the 49ers, they're the better team, and they really did need this game more.
Yeah, they definitely did need this game more. They're now 3-3. Seattle's now 3-3. It's going to be a very interesting race for that NFC West. I do obviously think the 49ers are going to eventually get there, but Seattle is a solid team, and I think that they're eventually going to get back into it because that 3-0 start looked very promising.
Right. So Brock Purdy had a good game, 3 touchdowns, 255 yards. Deebo Samuel only 3 receptions, but 102 yards and a touchdown. Trey Mason gets hurt, so that's something to monitor going forward. We move to the London game. The Bears beat up on Jacksonville. Jacksonville's just terrible, 35-16. Bears looking good. I mean, the Jaguars, I don't know. I feel like Doug Peterson's on the hot seat. He's going to probably get fired soon. I don't know if they want to let the whole season ride out and just have a more realistic chance to get a good head coach in the offseason. Then you're kind of punting on the rest of this year, but I don't know what you do. Trevor Lawrence was better, but not great. I don't really know what you could really expect there.
And then you got ETN with an injury as well, dealing with a hamstring. They're saying it's on now a week-to-week basis, and that's one of your big playmakers, so that's another issue. Brian Thomas, he wasn't really doing much this game either. He's usually a big target for them. They finally unlock Evan Ingram, of all people, who's been injured, but yeah, the Bears are looking pretty solid. They're 4-2. I think they're being slept on right now.
Yeah, they could definitely make a push for that wild card spot. So this is a really good game. The Ravens and the Commanders. The Commanders continue to surprise everybody. They don't get the win. They lose 30-23, but going up with one of the best offenses in the NFL, a really good defense in the Ravens. Derrick Henry, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. This dude is just unreal. Stepping into that offense, like we all expected, he would be very, very good. And he's shown that. Lamar Jackson, a lot of passing yards. So he's been really good. And they're just like that. They're 4-2 now.
Yeah. I mean, they start off 0-2. Everyone's hitting the panic button. And I'm like, well, this Ravens team is still really good. We saw it last year, and look where they are now, 4-2, looking really good. And the Commanders, I mean, they're 4-2 now, but they have a lot of promise on this team. They just went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the NFL. Like, yeah, it's frustrating to get the loss, but you got to be looking towards the future and saying, we could compete with other great teams.
Right, and now they're also in prime position to fight for a wild card spot.
Definitely.
In the NFC. But yeah, they're definitely a lot of fun. Jaden Daniels been really good, 269 passing yards in this game. So he's continuing to show out with that team. Terry McLaurin, I think he had 2 touchdowns in this game. So he's getting him the ball, getting a good target there. And he's somebody who hasn't had a quarterback for a while. So it's kind of a good thing. Get your rookie quarterback, a good receiver to throw the ball to, and then for him to have somebody to actually throw him the ball. So it goes both ways. The Packers beat up on the Cardinals 34-13. Jordan Love with 4 touchdowns in this game. I was going up against him in fantasy this week, so that was not fun for me. But they're starting to get back on track after some interesting weeks where they haven't looked great, kind of fought back in games. They have total domination. The Cardinals, like we said, can play some teams well, but this one kind of tough for them. Nothing really going on there at Lambeau. The Texans beat up on the Patriots. No surprise there. This is Drake May's first game. He throws his first touchdown pass. They scored 21 points, but the Texans are just better. Kind of a tough situation to go in for Drake May. Team's not that good, and they're going up against a really good team. High-scoring NFC South game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 51-27 over the New Orleans Saints. The Saints started out, what did we say, 3-0, and now are they 3-3 as well?
Yeah.
They were 2-0.
Oh, no, they're 2-4.
Yeah, so they were 2-0, and then they lose 4 in a row. So I guess we were right there. I think we thought they would be more 500, and they would kind of win 2, lose 2, but 4 in a row, just like that. That includes 2 divisional games, so not an ideal situation there. Baker Mayfield, 325 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, though, so you got to get that figured out. But Chris Godwin, 2 touchdowns. That Bucs offense it's very weird because the Bucs, I feel like their record doesn't indicate how good they've really been.
Even though they're 4-2?
Yeah, I feel like the 2 games they lost, it's just like they were coming off huge wins, and you expect them to keep it going, and then they lost. Like I feel like, yeah, they're a good team. They're 4-2, but I feel like they're a team that could easily be 6-0.
The big shocking loss for them was against Denver when they lost by 19. Yeah. But I mean, the only other loss is Atlanta, who looks pretty good right now. So that's a pretty solid team. But yeah, that one shocker was Denver. They probably should be 5-1 right now, definitely.
Right. But yeah, I think they're still in a good situation. I mean, they're playing really well.
Oh, definitely.
They're in contention for that division. If they don't win the division, then probably a wild card spot. So, good place to be.
Yep.
The Philadelphia Eagles finally get a win back in the win column. They beat the Cleveland Browns 20-16. And I know you have some choice thoughts on Nick Sirianni after this game, pointing to his own crowd. Cleveland's terrible. They traded Amari Cooper, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Just, Sirianni, man, what are we doing?
It's just like, really? You're a head coach in the NFL, and you're gonna like go talk trash to your own fans. Your own fans. What do you like? I've always thought Sirianni is just a whole clown, and then he just every week he doesn't fail to do something that makes me think of him more like a clown. And here we are. Just can't make it up.
Yeah, so they do get the win, but just I don't know. I mean, Watson's still terrible. The Browns, it's now a lost season for them. They're, what are they, 1-5? They only beat the Jaguars. So
yep, 1-5. Yep.
It's just
brutal.
I don't know. They're starting to blow it up, but Jalen Hurts was good. Saquon, nothing really doing there. AJ Brown comes back with a touchdown, so that's a good thing for them to kind of get going as they move towards the future. I got to stop picking the Tennessee Titans. They lose to the Colts 20-17. I feel like I've picked them every single week.
I think so.
They have 1 win on the year. So, I mean, 1-5, and I pick them every week. I should probably stop. The Colts, Joe Flacco gets the win. He's wacko for Flacco in Indianapolis. The Chargers, they beat Denver 23-16. I believe they were up bigger in this game, but then I think, Denver, 16 fourth quarter points. All of their points in the fourth quarter to make it a game. So I don't know. Got to work on that a little bit for the Chargers. But again, they still pull away with a big win there. Steelers and Raiders, their defense is better in Pittsburgh. So they go in 32-13. Justin Fields plays again, but I think they're playing Russell Wilson next week. Again, we'll get to that later as we preview their game next week, which is pretty strange to be honest. But Najee Harris had a nice game, something you don't hear too often anymore.
True.
Falcons beat the Panthers 38-20. Falcons coming off the big Thursday night win. Well rested. They beat the Carolina Panthers, so nothing crazy there. Detroit Lions put a spanking on the Dallas Cowboys. 47-9. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, this Dallas team, is it like fair to say that they're just terrible? They're just, I guess not terrible, but just mid. Like they are at home are a disaster. They got blown out by the Saints early in the year, which again, early in the year, but especially at home, they've just looked awful.
Yeah. The thing is for them, like, when at least last year or the past couple seasons, you go against Dallas and you're like, well, they're going to put up points. Like, we know that this is one of the best offenses. They're going to put up some points on us. They look abysmal now. Like, I just don't get... I mean, it's probably the running game. I mean, they rank 32nd in rushing yards per game, which definitely doesn't open up the pass. But I just don't get it. Like, besides losing Pollard for the most part, it really doesn't seem like they made any significant changes. I mean, they even brought Zeke back. Like, you would think...
Well, that's the problem, I think. They didn't update the run game. Like you just said, they're 32nd.
Yeah.
Like, that was a gaping hole And they didn't even draft anybody to kind of fill that void and
you
make an
don't
impact. They
draft
just
right.
said, we're going to roll in with Zeke. Like, that's not good enough. And then you pay Dak his money, which also could be part of it. Some people think he got his bag and kind of doesn't care anymore. I don't think that's necessarily true, but it's still something. He got his money, so it's, in his head maybe.
Could be. But I just don't. The thing with Dallas now, like, I don't think any team's afraid of them at all.
They might miss the playoffs at this rate. Are they're 2-4? Is that correct?
3-3.
3-3. Okay,
Yeah.
So, 500. It's not a guarantee. Like anybody could beat them. Like all their wins, like they just won. Like they just beat the Giants.
Yeah.
In that game on Thursday night a couple weeks ago. So the Eagles are still, I think, more talented on paper than them.
Oh, definitely.
The Commanders have been a nice surprise, and they have some talent, and they're currently in the driver's seat to be ahead of them.
Yep.
And the Giants, aside from, like if their quarterback plays a little bit better, they put a couple more touchdowns on the board, they win a couple more games. I mean, you could say that about any team, but still, like this division has shown that there's some talent there. And if they don't, hurry up, especially with the NFC getting better, there's teams that are surprising. They might not have a spot because there's 3 wild cards, and there's easily potential for them to come out of different divisions, right? Because Minnesota's leading in the North. Nobody expected that. Green Bay and Detroit, those are both playoff teams.
Right.
You look at the West. Are the Seahawks going to still be able to figure it out? The 49ers are obviously there. We don't think the Cardinals and the Rams are all banged up.
Right.
And then in the South, the Falcons and the Buccaneers are both the top 2 teams there, and they're both expecting a spot. And there's not enough room for everybody. So like one of those 2 teams that, are going to be left out. And even I forgot in the North, the Bears are 4-2 as well. So there's, right now it could be all 3 teams from that division that make it in. So you got to start figuring it out and start winning some games. But I don't know. I just don't see it. Like I have no reason to pick them anymore. As like you said, nobody's going to fear them. I'm not going to look at the Cowboys and be like, oh, they're the Cowboys. They're better. They should win this game. Right. They have to prove that to us.
Yeah. They haven't done that this year. Not at all.
So, yeah, that's definitely not good. They're going to have to start figuring it out soon as we continue. All right, Sunday Night Football, the Bengals beat the Giants 17-7. Again, same thing. Giants just cannot score, and that kind of hurt them. They only gave up 17 points. Defense has been good all year, but
right. Could I just say one thing? That may have been the ugliest Sunday Night Football game I've ever seen. It was just punt, like disgusting.
Well, I got news for you.
What?
Next week's is going to be worse.
What is it?
Jets Steelers.
Oh, I already know how that's going to go.
Hope you like defense.
Hope you like defense. Yeah, this game was just just ugly, written all over. Like nothing was going right for either team, and then the Bengals get that rushing touchdown towards the end. It was really like a 10-7 game throughout, and they if the Giants could just fall on that fumble that goes out of bounds, who knows what could have happened.
Who loves some Big Ten football at MetLife Stadium?
What happened?
Some Big Ten football at MetLife Stadium.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, just...
I think the same thing you said about the Cowboys applies to the Bengals. Nobody fears them anymore.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. They're not that great right now. 2-4? No.
Yep. All right, Monday Night Football, the game that drove me nuts. The Buffalo Bills beat the New York Jets 23-20. And I could go on for hours about this game. Like, first of all, the penalties were insane. There's a million penalties on the field. And to me, it just, from the Jets side of things, you have the new coach. What are we doing? Like, you cannot be this undisciplined in the NFL. Like, Javon Kinlaw should get on a bus out of that facility today. Should have been yesterday.
Right.
They had 3 penalties in like a 5-minute span. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Like, and you have to at least be good to warrant that. Right. I mean, nobody warrants it, but he's terrible. Greg Zuerlein misses 2, I'm not going to say easy field goals because it's windy, but like 35 yards. It's the NFL. Like, that should go in. I'm sorry.
Goals, definitely.
You can miss one here and there, but that's so many games this year that have been close games. And I feel this team, like, I'm not saying they should be 6-0, but every game they've played has been winnable. They lose to Denver 10-9, missed field goal. Now this one, 2 missed field goals. But also, you go to the red zone 4 times, you score 1 touchdown. That's another situation where you can't be settling for field goals. You got to punch the ball in. Their run game is non-existent. Yep. I mean, they did look better overall with Todd Downing calling the plays, but you got to start making these field goals. In the other games they lost, Minnesota, last drive, they lose it. Slow start. That's part of it. Mm-hmm. Then The game against San Francisco, that one was they probably weren't going to win, but
Yeah.
still it was within range. Like the defense was holding strong, but I feel like the Jets defense just can't stop the run. It's just a disaster. Everyone's getting through.
Yeah, no, that's been a glaring issue for the Jets all year, is just stuffing that run. And then on the other side for offense, them getting rushing yards in general. I told you that Dallas ranks 32nd, the Jets rank 30th, which
Yep.
if you look at a guy like Breece Hall, you would not expect the Jets to be 30th in rushing yards per game. That's ridiculous.
Right.
That's unacceptable.
And I think this is more the Jets losing this game than it was the Bills really winning this game.
True.
I think it's a lot of self-inflicted wounds. Now, that's not to say the Bills aren't a good team. It's just that
Bills are a good team, but yeah.
the Jets had every opportunity to win this game and did not. And
And-
that's been every week. It's been 3 times Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to pull it through.
But what's
So, like we
crazy,
said last week, he shouldn't be allowed to call the shots.
yeah,
I don't think anything that's happened so far, personnel-wise, is bad.
right.
But it's just, they got to start putting up. Like you got to put the ball in the end zone.
Got to win games. Yeah.
Like the amount of times you're settling for field goals. Like Garrett Wilson has a ball. Well, actually, no. But backtrack. Third quarter. They punch the ball in. Tyron Smith, who's been awful by the way, flag. Comes back 10 yards. Then throw for Garrett Wilson. He has the ball in his hands. Gets popped. Loses the ball. They settle for the field goal to take 23-20 lead. It's missed. So then you go from a touchdown that was already on the board, taken off the board because of a penalty, and then you get 0 points. That's a disaster. And I mean, you can't even blame the coaching anymore because they have a new coach, so maybe it's just the players.
I mean, yeah, what point is it on the players? But the thing is, what's so frustrating is Aaron Rodgers finally passes for over 250 yards, has 294, and Garrett Wilson and Lazard both ball out, and Breece even has a really good game. So, like, all these guys are contributing, guys that you expect to contribute, and you still end up losing. Like,
yeah, in the yards category, not the touchdowns category. That's the problem. You got to get the ball in the end zone.
How do 2 receivers have over 100 yards and your running back has over a combined 169 yards from scrimmage, and you still lose? That's like almost impossible.
Well, welcome to the life of the New York Jets.
I
think, like I said, it comes down to not taking stupid penalties, which they do the whole game, and you're giving the Bills free yards, and you're hurting yourself on offense.
Yeah,
they got to score.
They do.
You can't be settling for field goals. And then, like I said, the worst case settling for field goals is when you miss the field goal and you don't get any points.
That's true.
They left too many points on the board. That's what it came down to. Yeah, the Bills missed a field goal and an extra point. It was very windy, like I said. But if you have 4 trips to the red zone and 1 touchdown, the other one was a Hail Mary. The Bills had 3 trips to the red zone and 3 touchdowns. That's the difference.
True. Gotta score touchdowns when you're down there.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it because all their games they've lost have been closer by 1 score. So it could easily be the other way. And then maybe Salah's still here and everybody's all happy and they're 4-2. But here we are. It's 2-4. Yeah. It's still salvageable. They play the Steelers next week and then the Patriots after that. So you get to 4-4 and then you're right back in it. And 2 weeks from now. So I think that's a good segue into a little bit more discussion before we go into our game picks. But because both those teams made big time trades for wide receivers yesterday. We'll start with the Jets. They get Devontae Adams. They give up a conditional 3rd that could turn to a 2nd based on his performance. And they are on the hook for the full contract. Now, there's been a lot of ranging opinions on this. One side is like, this is awesome. This is, makes the Jets really, really good. And the other side is, this is stupid. This doesn't help the Jets. They don't, they have a lot more issues than this. I fall somewhere in the middle, which I think most people should. Are the Jets a better team today than they were yesterday by getting Devontae Adams? Absolutely. That's not even a question. This guy might have fallen off a little bit just because he's a little bit older. I think he's 31 or 32 years old.
Yep.
Still, at one point, for many years, was the number 1 wideout in the NFL.
Oh, easily.
He makes this offense better. Now that gives you 3 threats to throw to because Lazard's been very good. So he has to be considered as an option. He always gets the ball.
Sure.
Him with Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, that's very dangerous. I don't know how you cover all 3. So they're very good, and maybe that's what pushes the needle and helps them get the ball in the end zone. Getting a machine. They have 69 connections, Rodgers and Adams, for touchdowns. Maybe that's what you need to get the ball in the end zone. Add 1 more touchdown every game. Maybe that's he's that deeper threat, big guy. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy that gets it in the end zone where the other guys get the yards to get there.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, yes, there are more issues, but it can't hurt. I mean, it makes the team better. Like, I don't understand how it's a bad thing, but yes, there are more issues. Like, you don't, it doesn't, like, it's like apples and oranges. Getting
Yeah,
Devontae Adams and other issues is like, you can't solve every issue today.
true. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I kind of fall in the middle here as well. It's just like, yeah, the Jets are definitely a better football team, but they have all of these different issues. Like you mentioned in the previous game, they have all of these penalties. Clean it up. Like
Right.
we're in week 7 now. Like these penalties are made by like a team that I would expect like, oh, they're like in the preseason. They're just like working out the kinks.
Yeah. And like the veteran team too.
Right. So like this should not even be a thing. I feel like it's like a lack of discipline like on the players' side of things. Clean them up and you're going to see a lot better results. And
Right.
yeah, I do think though the connection between Rodgers and Tay is going to be really good. Um they were almost unstoppable in Green Bay. Like you said, 69 touchdowns, that's insane. And then they also have the chemistry though of Devontae playing with Lazard, so they know how to
Right.
play with each other. So that's always great. My concern here may be for Garrett Wilson and how much target share he's going to now get. I understand he's still going to be utilized obviously a lot in this offense, but I mean, you bring in a guy like Tay, it could take some targets away, could take some production away. But again, it all gets neutralized if you start just winning football games. They just have
Right.
to win some games.
Yeah. So who cares what Garrett Wilson thinks if they win games? Like, if he
Right.
wants the ball more, it's going to get around. He's going to be open. They're starting to get it to him more lately,
True.
with Lazard being more of a threat. So listen, and then the people that say that they have other issues, that Devontae Adams like is just unnecessary, like, why are you excited? Like, because you're not going to not trade for Devontae Adams because you have other issues. You're still
Yeah.
making your team better.
Still
And
be
if that and again, we, like I said before, a few more touchdowns this year, and the Jets are 5-1 or
right.
4-2. So that is maybe solving a big issue, because with all of the stuff that's gone on and the penalties and the run defense and all the things that have been terrible,
Mm-hmm.
one more touchdown in two other games, and they're 4-2 instead of 2-4.
Crazy.
That's it. So
That's how
listen,
the NFL
it's
is.
going to be
Yeah.
fun to watch. It's going to be good, and I think I am excited to see Devontae Adams in a Jet uniform, and I think everybody
I don't
should
blame
be.
you. It should be.
So we'll move to the Bills. They also, I think, like 2 hours after.
Right.
Maybe they wanted to steal some of the Jets' thunder. Maybe they also obviously they made their team better. They traded for Amari Cooper from the Cleveland Browns. You could think about the timing was weird, but it makes sense. They made themselves a better football team, and like, we were looking for them to get a true number one receiver. They went into this year with it by committee. Some solid guys: Valdez Scantling, Khalil Shakir. They've been getting the ball, and they're good tight ends. Now you add this guy, Amari Cooper. He's your number one without a doubt. Kind of falling off a little bit in Cleveland because Deshaun Watson's been terrible and the team's been terrible. But
Right.
he goes to Josh Allen now, and he's a huge get, big guy, different guy than what they kind of have in that offense. And I think will certainly make them better.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to be a better football team. My biggest concern, though, is I'm pretty sure this year that Cooper is leading the league in drops, which that can be because drops for me is like it's in your hands already, and like you just drop it versus a target where you just it's not even in your vicinity, completely different. But Deshaun
Right.
has been terrible, like you mentioned. So maybe you get a better quarterback, should say much better quarterback, and you start seeing much better results. I still think that Cooper is very good, and yeah, I think he's going to make the Bills
Right.
much better. Uh, as much as I believe in Khalil Shakir, he's not a wide receiver one, but
No,
he's a
no
very
way.
good 2 or 3 on any football team.
That's why this trade is so important. Like you said, I think getting a guy and a change of scenery. Like, sometimes you go from a 1-5 team to a team that's 4-3. Excuse me. What are they? Yeah. No,
Yeah,
they're three. They're
4 and
they're
2.
4-3, 4-2. Right. So,
Yeah,
um, that changes everything and can make him more motivated. He'll be better, and just like fresh start, clean slate. So if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But again, you're not giving up that much. I think it's a good move for Buffalo. All right, let's move into our picks for this week after those two discussions. Starting out on Thursday night, Denver and New Orleans. It's in New Orleans. They need a win when they're reeling, losing 4 in a row. So I'm going to take the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going to be going the Saints as well. I just think that they're kind of in desperation mode. You lose 4 in a row, and Denver's kind of an easy team to bounce back from. Even though they do have a decent record, I'm still just not impressed with their roster. Also, Surtain got injured last game. I don't know if he's going to be back. So their defense doesn't look the same without him. So give me the Saints at home.
All right, a winnable game for two bad teams, the Patriots and the Jaguars.
Yeah, give me the Jags here, I guess. Like this is just a garbage bowl, if I could say.
Right.
I I do think though on paper that the Jags are just more talented, even though New England has been decent this year. But and Drake May, honestly, for his first start, he looked decent. Like even though obviously they got torched, he looked okay. But I think right now on paper, give me Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm going to also take Jacksonville. They're the home team. Now, Drake May playing in a second game is exciting. It could change some things, but I think Lawrence, who struggled, he's now a veteran quarterback. I think this is a game you have to win. They
Yeah.
still have some talent on that team, so I'll take them to pull away. Seattle and Atlanta. This one's in Atlanta, so I'm going to ride with the Falcons. Seattle lost 3 in a row. Don't really like how they've looked lately. They have scored a lot of points, but Atlanta's defense starting to figure it out a little bit. Still, they've given up a decent amount of points, but their offense has been clicking and scoring a lot more than that. So I think I'm going to ride with the Falcons at home.
Yeah, I'm also going to be going with the Falcons at home here. Their offense is really starting to click. Kirk and Drake London are having a great connection, which I feel like is making significant moves there. They actually had a good game at a Bijan, which they haven't had yet. So maybe they start to unlock him and adds a whole nother element to this offense. Give me the Falcons here against Seattle, who has been struggling lately.
All right, Titans are going up to Buffalo to play the Bills. I'm learning from my mistakes. I'm not taking Tennessee again.
Sure?
We're taking the Buffalo Bills. They come off the big win against the Jets. They go back home and playing a team that's not really as talented. So I think this is an easy pick for Buffalo here.
Yeah, to me, this is just one of the easier picks of the week. I really haven't been impressed with Tennessee. I understand that they're kind of playing close games and stuff like that, but give me the just much better football team in Buffalo at home for sure.
AFC North game, Cincinnati and Cleveland, Battle of Ohio. I'm taking the Bengals. They win last week. Still not great, but I think they're in a better situation. The vibes are better than they are in Cleveland. They'll trade away Amari Cooper, and I think there's more where that's coming from that team.
Yeah, I'm going to be going with the Bengals here as well. Maybe this win against the Giants could start to propel them into getting into their winning ways again. They just haven't looked right all year. Even though they are starting to finally put up points, Burrow is putting up good numbers too. It's just for some reason they're just not winning games. It's just not all coming together at the right times. But I
Mm-hmm.
still believe in them here because Cleveland has just been horrid.
Awful.
So give me the Bengals. Yeah, even on the road, give me the Bengals.
All right, sneaky good game here. The Texans are going to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Packers, big win last week. Jordan Love, a lot of touchdowns. But I'm going to ride with Houston on the road. I like what they've been doing lately. They actually just traded Cam Akers yesterday. So they're riding with Joe Mixon. And I just think they're going to come in. Their defense has been playing really well. And they're still looking for that big statement win. They beat Buffalo a few weeks ago. And I think they're still on that quest to kind of find their identity as a good football team. And I think this is another big test going into Lambeau, CJ Stroud. So I'm going to ride with the Texans here.
I'm gonna be going different here. I think I'm gonna be rolling with Green Bay. I like what I'm seeing out of Jordan Love as of late. I think that Stroud has looked pretty good, but uh, for some reason, I just am rolling with the Packers here. I just think that they've really started to click, and I like their chances also because they're at home. So give me the
Yep.
Packers.
They have been getting Christian Watson more involved, so that's definitely something to monitor as well as they kind of move into the future. Miami and Indianapolis. I'm not riding with Miami until at least Tua comes back, if he comes back. So I'm going to take the Colts again. They won last week against Tennessee, and I think Miami's kind of in a similar situation, reeling, not doing too well. So give me the Colts at home.
Yeah, the Colts are starting to play solid football like they were last year. And I think that this continues here. I'm going to be going with the Colts as well. I understand that Miami has good skill position players, but skill position players mean nothing when you don't have a good quarterback under the helm. So,
Yep.
yeah, give me the Colts.
How many times have you heard Tyreek Hill's name in the last couple of weeks?
A lot.
Oh, a lot?
Well, in terms of how bad he's been, but yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Usually it's
Yeah.
like, wow, 80-yard touchdown, Tyreek
No,
Hill.
yeah, you're not hearing that.
All you hear about is how good he is. He gets the ball. And I'm not saying he's bad, but just last month, no Tua. Forget he exists.
Can't do anything. Yeah.
That team has had no attention at all on them just because they haven't been able to win because they have no
Can't throw the
quarterback.
ball deep, though, and that's an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a really good game. The Lions in Minnesota. Is this a battle for first place, I think? Because
maybe. I think.
if the Lions only have one loss and the Vikings are undefeated right now,
I think so.
then the winner would take it.
Yeah.
So if the Lions could win, they'll both have the same record, and they're on the road. They're going to Minnesota, and Darnold's only been playing okay lately, I think. They had the bye this week after the London game against the Jets. So I'm riding with Detroit. They're coming in hot. They stopped the Cowboys last week, and I think everybody's firing on all cylinders. Offense, defense. Now Aiden Hutchinson goes down in a gruesome injury. You got to feel terrible for him. So hopefully everything works out and he's going to be okay soon. Yeah. I know he had the surgery the other day, but I think they're coming in hot. Like I said, Darnold hasn't really impressed me in the past few weeks. Now, that's not to say he's bad. He's been good. He's been okay, but I think he hasn't been going above and beyond. He's just been doing what he has to do.
Right.
Where the Lions kind of have shown full force what their offense is capable of. So I'm going to ride with Detroit here, and they're going to take first place back from Minnesota.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with here as well. I just think Detroit is really starting to hit their stride. They're unlocking Jameson Williams, who wasn't even a factor his first couple years in the NFL. And look at him exploding onto the scene. It could have been the injuries that were holding him back, and now he's really starting to fully get healthy. And look what he's starting to do for this football team. It's amazing.
I think they're using him in that like Deebo Samuel type role.
Definitely.
He'd run the ball, he could throw the ball, just get it in his hands, and he's going to make a play.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think that at some point, like, Minnesota's got to lose, right? Like, I understand, like, they've looked very good. They're playing, I mean, we could all say they're playing above what they probably should be playing. I just feel like they got to lose at some point also, and Detroit's firing on all cylinders. Give me Detroit.
Yeah, that's nothing against the Vikings, but there's nobody's going undefeated.
Right, yeah.
Last game of the 1 o'clock slate, the Eagles and the Giants, big NFC East game. And Andrew Thomas is out for the Giants. That's going to be tough. I think he's going to miss the rest of the year.
Yep.
And their left tackle situation isn't going to be good.
Nope.
But the Eagles haven't looked too great either as of late. They do get the win last week, but it's a divisional game. You never know.
Yeah, I'm still going with the Eagles, though. I don't think the Giants have enough talent on paper. Even if Neighbors was playing, I don't think that they have enough talent to surpass the Eagles, which hurts me as a Giants fan, but also it's the Saquon revenge game, so he's going to put up 200 yards on us just because. So,
well, part of that, too, I'm going to actually go with the Giants this week, and I don't often pick the Giants. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Eagles are vulnerable right now. They beat the Browns, who aren't that good, barely.
True.
And the whole Sirianni thing, there's all that pressure, and they're in their own head. Saquon's coming back, and the fans are going to be pissed. Now, obviously, like you said, he could have a monster game.
I think he's going to have a legacy game just because.
Or the Giants come out on top and shock him. Like, the Giants' offense is due. And it's like, and the NFL is not forgiving in that way. Like, or if where in hockey, you say, like, if you're due, you're like, you know, eventually, like, you're on a long streak. You're going to have a game where you score, then it kind of all gets unlocked for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the Giants they've only won 2 games on the road.
Yeah.
It's got to happen soon. I feel like they're going to score a couple touchdowns. The Eagles secondary hasn't been great.
That's true, too.
The young guys back there.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they could just get one and then maybe get some confidence and then get the crowd into it, they're going to be hostile already against Saquon. It's just like, and it's a divisional game. Like, there's always games that are lost. Like, I know the Giants still haven't beat the Eagles in a while, too.
Yeah.
So it's one of those days where I feel like, you know, you might have a divisional upset. Now, I could be wrong, but you never know. It's a big rivalry. It's happened before.
True. Yeah, every divisional game's close, so you can't hate that pick at all. The Giants really haven't beat the Eagles, and
I know it's weird because they don't often pick the Giants.
They've won games against the Eagles, but it's like week 18 when like they're not even trying. So like, sure, like yeah.
We'll see. But also, that Giants pass rush has been really good, and Jalen Hurts has been kind of frantic this year. So
that's also a good point too. Yeah, they put up sacks. They'll put up some.
So
sacks.
if they can kind of make him throw the ball and throw an interception,
Very possible.
You never know. Moving to the 4 o'clock slate, Raiders and Rams. I think the Rams get back in the win column here. Still banged up, but they're the home team. No, there will be a lot of Raider fans, though, based on just where LA is and where these other teams are from. But I think the Rams are due for a win, and I think they'll get it.
I'm not going to be rolling with the Rams for a while. I just think that they're just too banged up. I feel like I picked the Raiders a decent amount in the series.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going with the Raiders here. I think we're going to get a crazy game out of Brock Bowers. I think he's going to get a lot of the target share now that Tay's gone. I also think that Jacoby Myers, although not a traditional wide receiver one, can be pretty serviceable in that role. But yeah, just the Rams are just so banged up. I can't trust them right now. So give me the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders are such a weird team this year. Like they've been
weird.
Had some surprise wins. I don't know, with Devontae Adams gone, maybe it brings up the spirits there a little bit. I see the Rams pulling away with this one. Carolina and Washington coming off a tough loss to the Ravens. They're at home playing the Panthers, who are terrible. So give me Washington. Not really much else to say about that one.
Yeah, I'm not debating you on that at all. It's Washington, and yeah, they should probably mow them down. Yep.
Probably the game of the year, Super Bowl rematch from last year. Chiefs and 49ers. It's in San Francisco, and I'm torn because both good teams, but I'm not picking against the Chiefs until, like, what do we say every week? We're not picking against the Chiefs, until we have a reason to, and they're undefeated. I think they're going to keep going. Big coming out game for the 49ers last week, but I'm still not confident in picking them over Kansas City just yet.
Me either. I think, again, like we've been saying this entire time, give me a reason for Kansas City to lose, then I'll maybe think about it. Kansas City's just been on a roll right now. You would think, oh, well, they've won 2 Super Bowls in a row. Like, they're probably due for, like, major regression. Like, a lot of teams do that. They'll win the Super Bowl, and then they're horrible their next season or something like that. Or, again, it's tough in the NFL. You have to be that great, being, like, for 3 consistent years. That's tough. And yet, here they are. And I'm not picking against them yet. Give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think they're going to lose a game eventually, and it could even be this one. It's just that, like, as far as a pick standpoint, you can't pick any game against them. Like, they're going to get upset at some point, but you can't.
Eventually, yeah, but not now.
All right, Sunday Night Football, Jets and Steelers, like I mentioned, the defensive battle.
Nice.
And I'm always torn because I don't want to be that guy who's biased and picks my team every time.
Yep.
And I picked them last week, and I gave, I think, good reasons why. I was going to pick the Bills, but then I thought the Jeff Ulbrich becoming coach, you fire the coach, usually that goes well for the team.
Right.
But this week they're playing the Steelers, whose offense hasn't been good.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense has been good. But the Jets' offense is adding Devontae Adams, who's most likely going to play.
Yeah.
Now, if they can score enough points and the Jets' defense can figure it out, because the Steelers' run game isn't great. Najee Harris has been better, but I think if they could shut that down, and now Russell Wilson might play, I think that goes in favor of the Jets, even though the Steelers are the home team. So I'm going to roll with the Jets here. I think this is a must-win situation for them because they're 2-4. They could get their season back on track with a win here. So I think the Devontae Adams thing is going to inspire a lot of people. And if they could just clean up the penalties, that they should be able to win this game.
I will say for the Jets, this is the season's on the line here.
That's why I'm picking them.
If they do not win this game, I'm basically cutting them off. Like, I don't see them making the playoffs and so on if they lose this game. They have to win this game. But I think that they are. I'm going to be rolling with the Jets. I do also agree with that point of with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
I don't get it either because you're 4-2 with Fields, so why?
He hasn't been bad, and if they were 2-4 and he's been okay, you'd be like, all right, he's not playing bad, but we're 2-4. But they're 4-2.
Right? Yeah. No, it makes zero sense in my eyes. But then also the idea that Wilson now has to work out the kinks with all of these offensive players. The offense could easily be out of rhythm because now you have a whole different quarterback manning everything. So, yeah, I feel like that could be a factor too, and this Jet defense will show up. So, give me the Jets.
Yeah, they need to.
Yeah.
Well, hope everybody's ready for another flag-filled Sunday night, a flag-filled primetime game featuring the Jets. So.
Yep. Get ready.
All right, 2 Monday night games again for some reason.
Yep.
Really good game. Baltimore and Tampa Bay.
Whew.
I'm going to roll with the Ravens. They're just on fire right now. Offense is clicking, defense is clicking, pass game, run game, all of it. Now, the Buccaneers, they obviously had the same thing. Offense was on fire, but I think that in the game that's going to be another shootout, I'm going to roll with the Ravens again. I think that's why I went with that last week. And they're becoming a team that's going to be hard to pick against as we move further through the year.
Yeah, I just think that the Ravens are just now like, okay, well, we're actually the Ravens. Like, nice to meet you. They're now 4-2. They mean business, and I do think that Tampa Bay is really good, and they could give them a tough fight. They could honestly win because they
They
are.
could win the game.
But I'm gonna be going with the Ravens as well here.
Last game, Chargers and Cardinals. That's a pretty strange one. Arizona did not look good last week. They're kind of starting to regress in my eyes. Chargers get the win. They didn't look good in the fourth quarter, but I'm going to roll with them again to get another win here. They're the better team on paper, better quarterback, better coach.
The Chargers are definitely the better team on paper, but for some reason, I'm going to be going with the Cardinals here. I just think they could put up some points. Hopefully, Harrison could play. I don't know if he is going to be because they did say that it was a concussion for him, so we'll have to see. There was that scary injury on Sunday, but hopefully he suits up. If he's able to go, I really love their chances, but even if not, for some reason, I think that they're going to put up a lot of points, also because they're at home, so give me Arizona.
Yeah, it could be a bounce back after the tough loss to Green Bay last week, so I could see it happening, but those are our picks, and that's it for episode number 7 of SRL on the NFL. Always a fun time here. Again, my name is Brendan Yerkes, joined alongside Alex Fachaponte. Make sure to check us out on social media at srl.media on Instagram and TikTok. Follow along for more content as we're going to be posting some more baseball stuff as well from the NLCS and ALCS, and as always, our NFL content and picks. So thank you so much for tuning in. This was SRL on the NFL, episode number 7. Have a good one.